it's Cathy here with Tri-Cities Community TV at the beautiful Lee Square, the gathering place in Port Coquitlam. Do you remember having a sleepover at your grandmother's house? Or maybe you remember her making you your favorite dessert. Well, today we're going to be talking to Denise DeLeebeeck, and she's with Greater Van Gogos. We're going to find out what does Gogos mean, and she's going to tell us how her team is making a difference in the lives of children in Africa.
Hi, Cathy. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Yes. Please tell us who you are.
I am actually a member of Burnaby Gogos. We have 25 groups in the Lower Mainland, about 500 members that make up Greater Van Gogos. And the Greater Van Gogos started in 2006, shortly after Stephen Lewis created the Stephen Lewis Foundation, and then the Grandmothers Campaign in 2006.
So what does Gogos mean?
Gogos is Zulu for grandmother.
And why are you doing this?
I felt a real pull to the cause because I had two grandmothers who were pioneers in Manitoba who faced gender inequality and lots of issues of loneliness on the farms. Their husbands were away farming or hunting or doing what they had to do, trapping. And these grandmothers, my grandmothers, were staying home looking after the farms and the children and everything else that had to be done. When I learned about the cause of the Grandmothers Campaign, I realized that the African grandmothers and my grandmothers have very similar situations.
And what is the campaign?
The Grandmothers Campaign was started in 2006 on the eve of International Women's Day, and this was to really help out the African grandmothers who stepped in to care for millions of grandchildren who had been orphaned by AIDS. So their parents had been, had died of AIDS, and all these grandchildren are left, and the grandmothers stepped in and tried to get them to school and to find homes for them, or actually to even have their own home, to feed them and clothe them and all of those things, easing the pain of HIV and AIDS. So that's what the grandmothers in Africa are doing, and we're trying in Canada to stay in solidarity with them. We fundraise and we raise awareness as well.
Exactly, it's over 16 million children that have been orphaned, isn't that correct?
It is correct, yes.
It's actually sad. It brings me to tears, to be honest. It's amazing what you guys are doing, one grandmother at a time, really. And how long have you been involved?
I got involved in the fall of 2007, so it's just over 8 years. And exactly as you are feeling inside, how it really touches you. When I see the grandmothers speak, and we've had some here for different gatherings, and I've seen them in video clips, and I've heard them here personally, it really brings to mind how we are blessed here to have so much, and they have so many challenges, and they're rising to these challenges. The most amazing thing is we had a grandmother's tribunal in 2013, and 6 grandmothers were brought from Africa, and there was an expert panel for the tribunal, and these grandmothers created a call to action to the world saying, we're doing all of this amazing stuff, it's so difficult, and we really need help from all of you globally. So we were really fortunate to be part of that. And that call to action has gone out internationally, and it has allowed the grandmothers in their own communities to actually speak out about very serious issues. Things like wife inheritance. I couldn't believe this. One grandmother explained that when her husband died, she could be inherited by the brother. It just made me cry.
Recently, there was a conference in New York for the status of women, and it was all about gender equality this particular time. They feel they have about 30 points that they'd love to turn over to really bring us up to date with what's happening with women. Whether there's women in third world countries that are going out there and getting the water, and this can take them hours and hours on end. Are you a grandmother yourself?
I am. I'm fortunate to have 3 grandsons, twin boys that are 8 that live in Port Moody, and a almost 3-year-old. And I can't imagine how it is as a grandmother in Africa to not only raise grandchildren of her own, but actually some of the community grandkids end up coming around as well. So they can have between 5 to 20 grandchildren, not even all of them their own, that may not even have a home, may not have food, may not have clothes, can't afford to go to school, and it's heartbreaking. And all of us across Canada, there are 10,000 members, have that same kind of feeling. We have compassion for our children and our grandchildren, and we feel the need to do something. We just have to do something.
Exactly. Do you have to be a grandmother to be a member?
Not at all.
Okay.
We call those people grandothers. So could be a grandmother or grandother, and that's just fine.
That's fantastic. Now, the money that's raised from various fundraising initiatives, you brought some beautiful bags here today. Speak to us about that.
Well, our groups Generally, they will hold events to raise funds, and some of those events will have crafts at them. In our case, I'm a member of Burnaby Gogos, and many of our groups actually make these tote bags, also make necklaces like you see here that I've displayed, and they're sold at the fundraising events. And the amazing thing about the Stephen Lewis Foundation and the Grandmothers Campaign, which really drew me initially, was that there's only 10% that goes to administration. How can you believe that? 90 cents of every dollar goes straight to the ground in Africa for grassroots projects, which help the grandmothers. And they're actually they're now finding their own capability and speaking to government, making a difference, marching on government, finding sustainable programs. They actually have savings and loan programs. They get microcredits. They're counseling out in the communities themselves. There are a lot, and I think there's a total of 300 different organizations that the foundation works with. They've managed about 1,400 projects in 15 sub-Saharan countries. So we are making a difference, and just excited that every dollar makes a difference in our work.
Tell me about a success story that you know about.
I guess, yeah, in Uganda, Miriam is one of the grandmothers that visited us recently, and she was also here for the tribunal in 2013. And Miriam came by for a special gathering we had in March of this year. 56 groups from around BC exist, and we had about 45 of them at this gathering. Stephen Lewis and his daughter Ilana spoke there, and Miriam talked about the difference that we are making on the ground for them. For example, in her own organization, they're able to actually hire the African grandmothers and pay them a stipend. So they're actually volunteers. I shouldn't say hire. So they're actually volunteering for this work. They gather together, they hear claims about land inheritance and wife inheritance, and they actually gather there now and are able to be paid something to be able to go and counsel into the community about AIDS prevention and educating the young people, so many things. And she was able to tell us firsthand about the differences that we're making. So.
What about their medical treatment there? I mean, AIDS has come such a long way, and people are not dying as they were. What's your experience been with survival rate?
Well, I'm not exactly sure of the numbers. However, the reality is that a lot of the bigger organizations are saying AIDS isn't an issue. It's no longer a problem. Stephen has been very clear, Stephen Lewis. The AIDS epidemic has not gone away. No. There are far-reaching effects in the community that still exist. These grandmothers are trying to keep a hold on things, make a difference within the community, help the children out, and actually raise the children to be leaders in their community. That's a real key part of this, is that the children are leaders in their community.
And Denise, how can people find out more if they want to be a grandmother or they're a grandmother and want to join Gogo?
We have a great website at www.greatervangogos.org. From there you can link to our Facebook page. We also have a Twitter page and a Flickr site. And we have a newsletter that comes out every 6 weeks, which I help put out. The good thing about that is you don't have to stay stuck with getting email. You can unsubscribe anytime, so people can go to the website and learn more about us.
Great, that's fantastic. It sounds like a very heartwarming group that you belong to, and I know that it's very gratifying when, like you said, every little bit does help make a difference. I want to thank you so much for being here on Tri-City TV. Thank you so very much. You heard from a grandmother that probably does make apple pie and takes very good care of her grandchildren, but she's making a difference internationally. Thanks so much.